Rachel, thank you so much, and I'm glad to be back on stage again today. Thank you for all being here. I don't think BlackRock needs much more introduction than Chris has said, so I think we're going to dive straight in, Rachel. You've had a very illustrious career, obviously, in what you've been doing at BlackRock, 20 years in investment banking. Like I always say, I just feel like it's the same people, but we're just all getting a little bit older, but hopefully more experienced as well. At this event, obviously we've been talking a lot about innovation and disruption, in fintech and how that interacts with large financial institutions. As the largest asset manager in the world, how do you see this industry evolving in the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, I mean, so thank you very much, by the way. Lovely to be here. And I have to tell you guys, if you get a chance to come up on stage, this is quite an amazing room and not my normal place for having conversations with people. So I'm a little bit overwhelmed, actually. It's remarkable. Well done, City of London. So what do we see changing in the industry? Well, I mean, it's like every part of finance. Everything around us is changing at the moment. And I think there are 5 key things that I would draw out, really, that we see are going to cause massive change over the next 5 to 10 years. And all of these are in flight at the moment, but how they evolve is going to be where the fun starts, really. So number 1 is the offering. What are asset managers there to do, and what is it we provide to clients? If you roll it back 10 years, asset managers would have been called fund managers, and there would have been a hint in that their job was to provide funds. They had mutual funds, and there used to be a few little ETFs, but 10 years ago there were hardly any. And really, an asset manager was about selling funds to people through distributors. That is all changing. The offering that asset managers now have is more about what is it clients actually need, which, for those of you who are setting up businesses and as part of the sort of innovation agenda, always thinking about what your clients need rather than what you have is usually a good way to run your business. What clients need today are solutions to financial problems. Our mission is building better financial futures for our clients. That's been our mission for 30 years. How we do that is changing. And so the offering is evolving, and you'll hear a lot of talk in asset management about portfolio construction, how portfolio construction is what matters, how outcomes are what matter, because if you're a regular person in the street, you don't really know why you invest, but you do know that you're going to have to pay for your retirement at some point because the state won't be able to pay for everything. You know that you'll have to have savings for universities now because actually they cost a lot of money. And so giving people outcomes, really. And I think that's around the offering. The second thing for asset management is part of the trend we see globally, really, in macroeconomics, geopolitics, whichever frame of reference you use. And that is that countries are rejecting globalization and are more than ever localizing. We're all living that in the UK with the B word, however that ends up playing out. But you're seeing a rejection of global models, global one-size-fits-all. And everyone wants something that is bespoke and custom-driven for their country. And you will see that play out in asset management. Every single asset manager, whichever market or community they operate in, is going to have to be more impactful in their community. So localization, being relevant to the people you serve. The third big theme I would call out is sustainability, whether that's ESG, impact, sustainable investing, how do we bring the Sustainable Development Goals to life. This is something that is going to dominate the next 10 years. And hopefully in 10 years' time, no one will ever mention it again because actually everything we do will be sustainable. And we will have fully embraced not just sort of ESG factors in thinking about how asset management is executed, but the entire ecosystem will have evolved towards something where sustainable investing is simply investing. The fourth one, which is very relevant for everyone, I hope, here in the room today, is what is the impact of technology on all of this? How is technology an enabler? And at BlackRock, we see it as an enabler. It is not a thing in and of itself. It's what do you do with the capabilities that now exist, whether that's through artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain. I mean, you could go on forever, and that's why the conference lasts a couple of days, because there's a lot to talk about, right? And so technology will underpin everything that we do. And then the final one, I think, which is sort of related to some of the earlier themes, is convenience. People want a convenient world. I'm now incapable of anything that doesn't involve convenience because somehow my iPhone has trained me to expect convenience in everything. And so it doesn't matter whether you're servicing the most sophisticated clients from an asset management perspective or you're dealing with end retail customers, as part of their sort of banking portfolio where they have an investment option in there. Convenience is going to drive everything, and that is very true for us. So I think those are the 5 themes I would think of over the next 5 to 10 years.
I think compared to some of the banks in the room today, you're quite young at BlackRock. You're 30 years old.
I feel very young, by the way. And I like the fact that I'm 30 years old, because I'm the embodiment of BlackRock in the room, so I'm going to take that, Charlotte.
So how does BlackRock stay agile? Potentially you haven't got that history that some of the financial institutions are, but how do you actually do that and live and breathe it every day? How do you stay innovative? And how are you going to continue that? Because as you said, the rate of change is so fast now. And how are you actually keeping up with that, as well as doing the day job of being the biggest asset manager?
So we hire lots of really, really smart people, and that really matters. We were founded 31 years ago by 8 founders, 5 of whom are still connected to the firm, 4 are still running bits of the firm. Larry's the CEO, Rob's the president, and Ben and Barbara are still very engaged in running risk and running public policy. And our founders' mission when they set the firm up, we are lucky to have our founders still with us, because their mission was very clear. Not only deliver a better financial future for clients, but they put down 4 values that the firm has lived by ever since. We've never changed our values in the 31 years we've existed, mainly because they seem to work. But we constantly go back and look at them and think, well, okay, do they still work? Do they still reflect what we believe? And one of the principal values of the firm always was and still is innovation. And the reason BlackRock was set up was the founders had been working in investment banking. And in the late 80s, they realized that there was just a failure in terms of an informational knowledge failure, if you like, an asymmetry of knowledge that existed. The investment banks had more information about the products that they were selling, and their clients, who were asset owners typically, had less information. And that meant that they couldn't necessarily make the right investment decisions. That was number one. Number two, they realized that actually even the banks didn't know exactly what they were doing, which doesn't sound shocking today, but 30 years ago maybe it did. And they thought, well, there's a better way to do both. There's a better way to think about risk and an understanding of risk, how a particular product or investment strategy has a risk in your portfolio. And so when they set the firm up, they set it up on the basis of, we're going to be the best risk manager that there is. And they invented something, or created something really, which we call Aladdin, which is our operating and risk management platform that has become a technology business for us. We have a lot of clients now who pay us to use Aladdin. And I think because we had that, because we were always embracing this concept of we're going to do asset management differently and hopefully better, and because we put technology right at the center of the firm, right at the very beginning, in the days when they literally had when they started, they had one desk and 8 chairs and a computer, and they were seen as crazy for having a computer before having a fridge or a phone or anything else, but they could see what could happen. That put it right at the center of what we do, and that has now, over the years, gone into everything we do. And so we hire as many smart people as we can because they keep you agile. Unfortunately, jokes aside, I'm not that young, and Larry's even less young than me, but if I called him old, he'd get very upset. But we hire a lot of really, really smart people. We hire a lot of young people. We hire a very diverse workforce who force us to think differently all the time about what we do, force us to question, is our status quo the right status quo for the future? And I think that sort of cultural approach to constantly challenging ourselves, being embedded, having technology embedded in our heart, and having this sort of founder's zeal for wanting to be different and better, I think helps us stay, hopefully, agile and innovative.
I mean, I definitely like the one desk. I wonder if the first purchase nowadays is a coffee machine in fintech world over the computer, but we can discuss that later. And that brings us on to the millennials that are coming into the workforce. We constantly talk about purpose. And our whole theme of the summit this year is the value and purpose to society that fintech can bring. I know you talk about it a lot as well. What does that mean for you and your clients?
I think purpose has never been more important today, in a world of fragmentation, of politics, geopolitics, economics, or macroeconomics. And so why you exist and what you're doing matters more than ever. Everyone can be disrupted really quickly. If a purpose of a corporation or a venture is just to make money, it's not going to last very long. You have to be adding something to the people you serve. And that means your employees, it means your shareholders, and it means your clients, but it also means the wider community that you operate in. You know, earlier I said that localization matters more than ever, and I think that's true, and I think purpose is linked to that. We are a very proud British heritage firm here in the UK. We feel that very strongly. We were, you know, in the UK, we were the merger of Mercury, which became Merrill Lynch, and BGI, which was Barclays Global Investors, right? We were a very British firm. We're the second largest asset management company in the UK. We're not American here. We are British. I'm British. You know, we try and understand how we can serve our communities better. And that comes down to purpose. So there's corporate purpose, if you like. What is the point of your business and the existence of your business, and how does it survive the individuals that run it? How does it survive the economic environment that it is operating in? How does it create long-term sustainability? And we believe that that corporate purpose can only be matched by a social purpose, i.e. it can't be something that does negative things. And these days we talk a lot about ESG in terms of the negatives. Actually, I would love to see a world where we talk about the S part of ESG in terms of the positives. Because it's not about the negative stuff of social, you know, the social bit of ESG, it's the positive piece of it. That means helping young companies to grow. It means contributing to public policy debate in society about what is the purpose of capitalism. And so to us, all of that's interlinked. And I think it's absolutely the right time for that to be the kind of the central core of this conference.
Yeah, great. You know, now obviously it is a fintech conference, you know, and great to have you on stage. Obviously you have, you know, a lot of experience in partnerships and investments in fintech. You're just interested, and I think the room will be very interested in just hearing a little bit about that. You know, how have you seen those change the way you do it? You know, navigate this digital movement that everyone's going through in financial services, but also how it's helped you to support your clients. So you have that wide spectrum of clients, obviously nowadays. You know, and how's fintech helped you do that?
I'd go back to our roots, actually. We didn't get big by thinking we could do everything ourselves. We recognize the things that we are, hopefully, aspire to be good at, and you know, and I think we are, while constantly challenging ourselves to be better at those. But we also recognize the things that we can't do ourselves. And you know, you don't become really big by owning every single part of your value chain, because there's always somebody better than you. You know, that's true of life, right? There's always someone younger, prettier, more intelligent. Okay, if you're really worried about being the very best of every single characteristic of a human, you probably wouldn't do very well. You wouldn't have a very good life. It's true for corporate. So we've always embraced partnerships, and partnerships that are both in the technology space as well as the you know, all of the other parts of our business. And we bring that to life really through a number of ways. We have some great people working for us who spend a lot of time meeting startups, meeting teams within very large companies who have particular technology expertise that we don't have, and trying to come up with ways that we can partner with them. So I'll give you some examples. In the very large space, we're doing something with Microsoft at the moment where we're looking to reinvent retirement products in the States. And we got together with Microsoft because we need a technology piece of it, and they happen to be a big corporate with lots of employees. So we're trying to come up with something there. We don't put any money in because Microsoft doesn't need our money. We're putting in expertise, and we're trying to create something that will create, you know, be a better retirement outcome for employees. So that's one kind of partnership. Other kinds of partnerships, ones that you'd be familiar with here in the UK, we made an investment in Scalable Capital a couple of years ago, which was a startup in Germany that we had become familiar with through our ETF business, iShares, because they're more than a robo-advisor, but they're known as being a robo-advisor. They're really a digital asset manager who use ETFs as building blocks, and we have a large market share in ETFs. So they'd come across our radar, we got to know them, we worked with them for a couple of years, and we could see that we could bring to them not just capital, which they did need capital, and we provided that, but also actually guidance and help in how to grow their market, how to grow their business across all of Europe, including here in the UK. So that's another one, and that's been a very successful partnership for both of us. Another one is Acorns. We made an investment in Acorns last year. It's actually a US company that is aimed at under 35s or people on lower incomes, trying to encourage them to make small savings, because we all know the value of compounding. Small savings can add up to big outcomes for them. And so it effectively sweeps spare cash into savings schemes, and we provide the investment piece of that as well as having a stake in it. So we do quite a lot. We keep an eye on what's going on. We have a whole team of people who are always looking for smart new ideas that could be of value to us in our business. We're not there giving capital to things that we don't have a business need to give capital to, so it's always things connected with what we do. And I think it helps us really, helps us stay young, basically.
Very young, 30 years old. Yeah.
30 years old, yeah, I'm taking that.
So we're looking in the next Fireside chat around gender diversity and the barriers to entry for investment as female entrepreneurs. Obviously you talked about your diverse workforces. I'm very interested in how you're addressing that problem of education, diversity, and that core network that are available in London but across the UK as well.
Yeah, so there's two aspects there, I would say. One is, what do we do inside our company at the moment? And we don't have any magic. I think everyone's struggling with this at the moment. We try and encourage women to apply for jobs internally, which are more, let's say, traditional male jobs. We're way beyond the days of sort of unconscious bias training and diversity training. I mean, that stuff is sort of a decade old now. It's really, we encourage women to stand up and do more, and we also encourage people, we try and encourage people to ask for flexible working, if that's going to keep them in the workforce. There is nothing worse than seeing women who've given 10, 15 years to their career not be helped navigate their way through years where maybe they want to sort of do slightly less. I was fortunate enough in my career early on, when I had my children, to be given a little bit of flexibility in my work-life balance, and I took advantage of that, and it helped me kind of power my way through, really, what is quite a challenging time. So there's stuff we do internally, which I think we do a good job of, but we can all do better. Then there's the things we do externally, and the one I'm proudest of, actually, is our partnership with Inter-University, which is an amazing organization. Their headquarters are at the foot of the Grenfell Tower. And when the Grenfell Tower went up in flames, there were many of their children were affected by that, and it became it really brought it to life, actually, the impact that you can have through supporting charities that are looking to encourage diversity. And in this case, it's about taking people with a socioeconomically disadvantaged background and helping them not just get into university, but the bit where we come in is really helping them figure out, when they go into university, how are they planning through the next phase? Because you can go to university, and if you come from a very disadvantaged background and you don't have anyone in your family who's university educated, and you'll get there and you'll be lost. Because actually you don't have all of the inside information that my children have, because they happen to go to nice private schools, right? They're terribly well set up for the future. Many, many people in the country aren't. Inter-University works with them to try and help them get ready for both university and life beyond. And what we do there is we run something called Big City Bright Future, which many people in the city actually help us with now, whether that's accounting firms, law firms, other asset managers, banks, where we bring in a few hundred people in the summer. We give them a 3-week well-paid internship because it's important that they earn money. They have a week's training that teaches them about finance and what does all of this mean, right? Because this would be very, difficult an environment really for anyone to come into, let alone some 18-year-old kid off an incredibly disadvantaged housing estate somewhere in the country. We then give them 2 years of actual on-the-job work experience, some with us and some with our partners. And then we create an alumni network so that they keep engaged. So as they're going through university, when those prime internships are being staffed, when job applications are due, they know how to go after the jobs, and they're really set up for. So that's what we do, and it's one that we're actually very passionate about. We're now seeing kids coming out of this program, and they're just doing brilliantly. They're leaving university, they're getting amazing jobs that the environment they came from would never have allowed them to get. But by the city coming together and supporting them, they're changing their lives and the lives of everyone in their families. So I think that's what we do.
That's great. Well, I think that's a great note to finish on. I mean, Rachel, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I know your schedule's always so busy. Delighted you could join us today. And please thank Rachel Lord.
Thank you, everyone.